Turkey's announcement that it's going to launch an operation in northeast Syria is a sort of symbolic end to the post-Cold War world order. And why can we say that? Because it shows that increasingly the kind of might makes right as a global international norm is back. And that's something that we could talk about in terms of other eras of world history, whether it's that kind of post-war era after the First World War, where there were concepts of League of Nations or the Kellogg-Briand Pact, or other concepts of world order. I don't know whether it's the Congress of Berlin or Vienna or Westphalia or whatever. The important message is that as U.S. hegemony declines, what we've seen in Crimea or in even Israel's policies, Kashmir, Hong Kong, Turkey's decision to go into Afrin in 2018, we've generally seen that countries that gamble on might makes right will generally get what they want. And that Western powers, which generally many people in the world look to as sort of, moral guidance or certainly guidance in international affairs in terms of what happened in the Gulf War under George Bush Sr., many of those powers have kind of abdicated the concept that they can do anything. For a while, it meant that we would hear lip service from European countries about expressing concern or something. But increasingly, the message is just, listen, we know we're not going to do anything. Let's not kid ourselves. So we just won't even say anything. And whether that, happens in the Caucasus with Russia and the Georgia war, or whether it's just this last week with all the killing of protesters in Iraq and no one seeming to really care, there's a general feeling of impunity for dictators like Bashar al-Assad, or basically any country, whatever it wants to do. There's just a feeling that it will be able to do it. That means, for instance, Myanmar persecutions of Rohingya, or what China is alleged to do in its, let's say, northwestern province against the Uyghurs. It just doesn't matter. I think all of these countries understand that the New World Order, in a sense, or the New World Order, in this conceptualization of a post-Cold War kind of era, is that might makes right. There is a multipolar world again. The Americans have jettisoned any concept of global responsibility. And so now we're going to enter an era of a bit of global instability, some chaos. Of course, eventually, something will come out of that. But that's kind of where things are heading. And that's why the most powerful kind of authoritarian regimes that are emerging are the ones that are dictating the rules. And we can see that at the different forums that those regimes gather in, whether it's some of these Central Asian summits or just the way they talk at the UN, that they feel they are on the winning side of history. This is not the end of history, it's just the winning side. And that's exactly what's taking place at this moment. And it's a very interesting kind of process or moment in history. It was largely understood that this was going to happen once you had the kind of retreat from global leadership that the U.S. has decided to make kind of official policy. When you look at the transition from George Bush, W. Bush, to Obama and Trump, and kind of where the United States is going. And also resurgent Russia, resurgent Turkey, the growth of China, the growth of India. It's kind of clear where things are going. But it's happening even more rapidly. And Turkey's decision to just say, okay, we can just take over part of a foreign country because we want a safe zone, and it's our right to just do that. I mean, that's kind of course, what Israel's argued with the Golan and things like that, but people always said, well, that's against international law. But by the logic that Turkey has employed, Israel could just take over southern Lebanon and say, well, listen, it's our right. We view part of the people there as members of a terrorist organization. We'll just take it over. And that's where the world is trending on October 5th, 2019.